Hello, brochachos. Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. As you can see, got the laptop out. That means it's time for another This Week in Fragrance. I'm going to be talking to you guys about some upcoming new releases, including a new YSL Myself, a new Tom Ford Black Orchid, a new Afnan, which is going to be one that you definitely want to know about, as well as the full note breakdown for the new Versace Eau Fraiche. Now, I let you guys know about the new Eau Fraiche coming out the last This Week in Fragrance, but at the time that I shot that video, there were no notes or anything like that. Basically, it was just like, here's a picture of the bottle, it'll come out soon. But now we have the full note breakdown. Now, most of this information I'm getting from ifragranceofficial.com. I'll have them linked in the description below, so feel free to check them out at any point if you want to see what's coming out soon. Because usually they're going to have the information first as far as note breakdowns and brand write-ups and all that stuff for new releases. Let's start things off with that new Afnan. This one is called Rare Reef, which is a little bit funny because this is a line of fragrances, I guess now, that kicked off with Rare Carbon. And it's just kind of funny to me to see it go from Rare Carbon to Rare Reef, because Rare Carbon was, of course, an ombre leather clone. There are a couple of other rare fragrances, to be fair, in that Rare lineup, but Rare Reef is a completely new one that looks like it's going to appeal a lot to guys out there. So let's go ahead, let's check out the write-up for this one. Refreshing, vibrant, and immaculate, the new Rare Reef invokes the feeling of escaping to a secluded island by the ocean. It begins with a blast of the energizing duo of citron and orange, the succulent, juicy essences of blackcurrant and grapefruit, while cooling mint invigorates the senses. The scent nestles upon a cozy, soothing base that wraps you in its warmth. Sleek, contemporary, and perfectly balanced, the new fragrance will be appreciated by those who embrace their spontaneity. So full note breakdown looks like blackcurrant, orange, citron, mint, coriander, and grapefruit off the top. So it looks super fresh, juicy, vibrant, sweet, touched tart as well, at least just by looking at that. Mid of apricot, basil, rose, and violet leaf, and a base of fig, dates, ambrette, and amberwood. So it's almost like Afnan doing the exact opposite of what all the designer brands are doing right now with their 3 notes. Afnan, how many notes do you want in the fragrance? Yes.
All of them.
And what an interesting note breakdown that is, just as far as what they've crammed in there. Blackcurrant, citron, orange, mint, grapefruit, apricot, dates, fig, like all of that? Okay. Now you may be catching on to something here though, as far as that note breakdown. It is a bit similar, a little bit similar to another fragrance out there. It is a Louis Vuitton, and that Louis Vuitton is Pacific Chill. Now, of course, I can't say with 100% certainty that that's what it is because I don't have it in my hands yet to smell it, but as soon as it's available, I'll pick it up and see how good it is and see if it is a Louis Vuitton clone. One other interesting thing about this fragrance, it has a master perfumer attached to it, Lucas Swizak, who I actually worked with many moons ago on a couple of Galleria fragrances, so I do know his work quite well. He's done a lot of other things, of course, probably the most popular being Reflection Man by Amouage. So he is associated with this. He's the perfumer of the fragrance. And Afnan very often does not miss. Like, their stuff is usually really well done. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Afnan takes this Rare line and turns it into their next big line. So they have Supremacy and now possibly Rare, kind of like Armaf has Odyssey and Club de Nuit, or like Versace has Hawass. So there we go. Let's hop next to the Versace note breakdown. So this is Versace Eau Fraiche Extreme, and now we finally do have those notes. As I said, I shared this with you with the last update, but at the time we didn't really have any clue how it was gonna actually smell as far as the note breakdown goes. It was basically just like, hey man, this is extreme, bro, which nowadays is pointless. Like, who cares? Like, you can say it's extreme and then it'll last 30 minutes. It's just a name. But let's see the breakdown. Come to me, breakdown, come to me. We'll touch really quickly on the write-up itself. That way you can be refreshed on this whole scent. Discover Versace Eau Fraiche Extreme, the latest flanker of Eau Fraiche Eau de Toilette for men, boasting an addictive, fresh blend that takes the original's essence to dangerous extremes. So that's the idea, I guess, taking the original essence to dangerous extremes. So I don't know about you guys, but when I think about a fresh summertime tropical fragrance that has some vague similarities to light blue for women, I think dangerous extremes. Of course, don't we all? Oh, just me. The fragrance opens with a bright, radiant burst of lemon, while a duo of orange blossom and pink pepper adds floral elegance to the sunny composition. An aromatic heart of clary sage, geranium, and lavender gives the core a masculine character. The base of cedarwood, ambroxan, and musk adds a sense of woody elegance that stuns the wearer with its unique identity. So lemon, orange blossom, pink pepper off the rip, clary sage, lavender, geranium in the mid, cedar, ambroxan, musk in the base. Now, in comparison to the OG, that one had lemon, bergamot, and starfruit off the top, along with cardamom, additional woody notes, cedar, sage, pepper, saffron, amber. A lot more going on as far as the note breakdown goes in the original, which you would expect, but at least they gave us a more fleshed out note breakdown, right? I'm not gonna complain. So lemon, orange blossom, pink pepper off the top. Obviously sharing lemon with the original, but the other notes are new. So in comparing the note breakdowns between the original and the new one, they both share lemon off the top. So that's expected. That's probably gonna be used in quite a similar fashion, but then you have pink pepper and orange blossom in the new version, which are not in the original. And orange blossom nowadays, extremely popular. You can see that used in fragrances like Myself, Gucci Guilty Love Edition, well, the new Gucci Guilty Love Edition, since there are numerous versions. And that's almost becoming like a new hot note to like work into fragrances, specifically for men, in a more prominent way. So it would not surprise me if that's kind of, you know, balanced out with the lemon a little bit there when you first spray this on. Pink pepper, super easygoing, nice, fresh, spicy. And then in the mid, sage, lavender, geranium, like, there's nothing wrong with that, but I will say that is probably like the most typical masculine, fresh kind of mid that you're ever gonna see in a fragrance. Those notes together, yeah, it's a little bit par for the course. And then the base, musk, ambroxan, cedarwood. So musk and cedar, obviously those are in the original. Ambroxan, I don't have anything against it, but looking at that, it very much screams fresh, clean, stripped down, woodsy, modern dry down. Now, you can't judge a book by its cover in terms of the note breakdown or anything like that, but without having smelled it, it does kind of scream like contemporary, clean, fresh, easy wearing, woodsy, masculine aromatic with, you know, fresh poppy citrus and possibly an overdose of orange blossom. So almost like this could be Versace's fresher, possibly stronger competitor with stuff like Myself. Obviously those ideas could be way off once we get it in our hands and we can actually smell it. Could be something totally different, but that's kind of like my knee-jerk reaction. Not that that necessarily means it's gonna smell bad or anything like that. It could smell absolutely amazing. It's just, that's kind of what I'm feeling looking at that note breakdown. And the biggest note, I would say, for a lot of people that set the original Eau Fraiche apart from other fragrances was the starfruit. The original had starfruit in there. This one, at least according to this note breakdown, does not. Now that massive Myself release we're gonna talk about in just a second, but before we do, some codes to save you guys money if you shop across a number of discounters. Gift Express hit us with a fat 15% off code, so you can use that to save a ton of money across that whole website, and they have a lot of fragrances to choose from. Of course, the JOMASHOP codes, but those do only work within the JOMASHOP app, so be aware of that. And then also have codes for Maple Prime, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Max Aroma, and more. So use those codes if you shop at any of those stores for niche, designer, or clones. Save yourself some money. All right, next let's talk about the Tom Ford really quickly, and then the YSL Myself. So this is a new Black Orchid. This one is Black Orchid Reserve. Got to keep those Black Orchid flankers coming, I guess. I do wonder how expensive this is gonna be though. I just thought about that. Black Orchid Reserve, like, the priciest of the bunch? Ooh. Introducing Black Orchid Reserve, a deep, powerful take on the signature Black Orchid from Tom Ford. How powerful do you need it? The original is pretty deep and powerful as is. A journey of exceptional uniqueness, uniting two contrasting elements of light and darkness in this evocative blend. The Chypre Floral Bomb boasts an elusive, rich, woody blend with luminous quality and earthy elegance. The new fragrance comes in the same sleek silhouette of the original fragrance in a translucent black glass. So note breakdown wise, pretty simple. It says right now Black Orchid Accord, Ylang Ylang, and Roasted Tonka. I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but I would assume that as this is ready for release, that note breakdown is gonna get a little more complex. One thing I will say, there are a lot of black orchids, a lot of different black orchid flankers. I would not mind having Tom Ford Man come back. Or just Tom Ford for Men, I guess, was the correct name. And they also had Tom Ford for Men Extreme. They came in like the same style bottle. They were really, really, really nice, but I guess overlooked and therefore discontinued. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Like if you go to Black Orchid Parfum, it also had a pretty simplified note breakdown, but it did have a little bit more going on. And there's not a ton to glean from this new one from the note breakdown. You know, Black Orchid Accord, like, okay, I guess that's, you know, the same signature kind of accord across all of them. Ylang-ylang, okay, like that's in Black Orchid fragrances as well. Roasted Tonka maybe is what stands out the most. Maybe adding a little additional sweetness in there, potentially less earthy compared to some of the other ones. But to be fair, in the write-up, they say that it has earthy elegance, so yeah. Again, not a whole bunch to pick from the write-up in the notes right there. Basically, they're pitching it as just like, hey, this is Black Orchid, except stronger and deeper and richer, which again, if that is the case, then oh God. Imagine spraying on like 12 sprays of that. Just, oof. All right, the new YSL Myself. This one is called L'Absolu, which I will just call Absolu. Discover the new Myself Absolu from Yves Saint Laurent, a striking combination of refreshing, sparkling, and fiery ingredients. Through the top, bergamot is accentuated by fresh ginger and fiery cardamom to reveal a crisp freshness. Through the core, notes of bright orange blossoms reveal a rare concentration, combining a fresh and blossoming essence with an intense and seductive accord created with flowers harvested from YSL's gardens in Morocco. Didn't want to mess up that pronunciation. Eureka? Eureka. Aurica. Eventually, the woody sensuality is elevated by sustainably sourced Indonesian patchouli. Indulge in the radiance and luminosity of the new fragrance that's crafted to invoke a feeling of instant pleasure and comfort. Okay, don't threaten me with a good time. Instant pleasure, like, I don't know, man. So note breakdown wise, we have bergamot, ginger, and cardamom off the top, orange blossoms, and a blooming essence in the mid, and then patchouli in the base. So patchouli you can find across both of the Myself fragrances that have already come out, the Eau de Parfum and the Le Parfum. So that's not anything crazy. To see that in the base, it's like, okay, probably keeping with a somewhat similar base to the other ones that have come before it. Orange blossom / blooming essence in the mid, also pretty standard, right? So the main difference here is the opening. Bergamot, ginger, and cardamom instead of just straight up bergamot, or in the Le Parfum, black pepper. They do specifically say that it is refreshing and sparkling. So I would imagine with that ginger bergamot combo, that may be more of the focus on the fragrance when it opens up, which could give it a really nice refreshing blast, you know, this kind of like effervescence jumping off your skin, and could make it have the most enticing opening of the whole bunch. Like that wouldn't surprise me at all, because it's already kind of set up for that. Like that orange blossom that's in here and the other Myself fragrances is super appealing. It's why it's such a compliment pulling fragrance. It's why they're so versatile, so easy to use. So if you pair that up with an opening that's somehow even more attention grabbing, then you maintain aspects of that mid that people already love, then you have a fragrance that could sell even better potentially in stores when people spray it on a tester strip, go like this and go, I'll take it. Not even waiting for the dry down. So I have no doubts that this is probably going to smell absolutely amazing when you first spray it on. I'm assuming they probably got it locked in, you know, and it's gonna be just like an immediate attention grabber. The main thing for me is going to be as it dries down. Now, of course, they have blooming essence here in the mid, but I don't know how a blooming essence smells. So when you look at the mid and the base here, outside of that, pretty much the same, you know? Orange blossom, patchouli. So how is it going to differentiate itself as it dries down compared to the Eau de Parfum or compared to the Le Parfum? And it's not that it would necessarily be a bad smelling fragrance if it smelled really similar to the Eau de Parfum in the dry down. It's just at that point you would have to question yourself, is it worth picking up if the opening is really different and you know, really enticing and all this stuff, but then as it dries down, it starts to be really similar to the Eau de Parfum. If that's the case, you know, is it redundant at that point? So that's really the main thing that I'm focusing on with this one, is how does it evolve? How does it smell as it dries down? Does it maintain its own identity, its own scent profile? You know, obviously it's gonna be similar to Myself, the original, potentially the Lip Parfum as well, but does it do enough to like carve its own path? Or is it something that as it dries down, it just kind of fades together? So I'm really anticipating this one. I hope that it's absolutely fantastic, but I have to get it in and give it some wear to see how different it is and if it's in a really positive direction. And let's wrap things up really quickly with a Zadig and Voltaire, a new This Is Him. It's called Burning Love. Depending on what type of burning love we're talking about, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Embodying a contrast of freshness and warmth, the fragrance lingers on the skin, resulting in an unforgettable perfume with an exceptional alcoholic accord. An exceptional alcoholic accord. I think exceptional boozy accord would have sounded a little bit better. Because imagine that, it's like, okay, what accord is this? Oh, it smells like an alcoholic.
I'm drunk now.
Yeah, that sounds bad, actually. Just like a dude strung out, hungover, puke all over his shirt, smelling like 5 different kinds of liquors poured all over himself. Perfect. Put that in. We're gonna sell so many bottles. Daring, intense, and irresistible, this is a fragrance made for passion. The colors of the sunset are merged with the sleek edges of the classic This Is Him bottle. The logo blazes like it's on fire as vibrant blue and orange tones combine to create a tie-dye effect. It's the perfect date for a passionate summer romance. No, actually the text doesn't really look like it's on fire. It looks like a bad tattoo. Well, that's okay. So note-wise, we have orange, rum, and vanilla. 3 notes, but 3 notes that sound pretty good. Interestingly, it's kind of pitched as like a summertime fragrance, right? I read that correctly. Passionate summer romance, yeah. And then orange, rum, and vanilla. Like that reads more to me like a really sweet, warm kind of fragrance, more for like potentially an evening out, I guess, or, you know, fall use. I don't know if the note breakdown is gonna be expanded upon or if that's it, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes with these brands, when they come out with a 3-note note breakdown, when it actually launches, there will be like 6. You know, they'll add a few more in there. Now, I gotta say, orange, rum, and vanilla, if you're gonna pick 3 notes, like, you got my attention with those. That was pretty good sounding. It's just, will it work in the situation that they present it for? Honestly though, if it doesn't, who cares? It'll just be one of those situations where you go, it's not really good for that, but it's really good for this. And in case you guys are unaware of the This Is Him line, a lot of times at discounters, not too expensive, and in terms of quality, actually really, really good. So these are kind of fragrances that for your average guy, they fly under the radar a little bit, but they can actually surprise you at how solid they are, and not a lot to go off of, but I've smelled a lot of things worse than those 3 notes are tickling my brain right now. Orange, rum, and vanilla. Give me a little booze-soaked creamsicle. That sounds good. So there we go, guys. New fragrances coming out. Let me know which one you are most interested in. For me, the YSL and the Versace. I have high hopes for both, so hopefully they don't screw it up. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.